We're ready to have a good time and hold a motorcycle race. It's the American Flat Track Championship Buffalo Chip TT, presented by Indian Motorcycle, all part of the Sturgis Rally. Jerry Means has won pretty much every race this year, but maybe a unique track could open the door for some other winners. Briar Bauman would love to do it. He won here last year. And Sammy Halbert is hoping that this type of track can get he and his factory Harley up on the podium or maybe in the victory lane. In the singles class, Jesse Janish, always a specialist in the TT tracks. And Brandon Price, after a big injury at Springfield, is back in action for the first time since then. Good to see that. We are in Sturgis, the biggest motorcycle rally of the year, right here. We're racing right in the middle of it. Jason Wygant, Ralph Sheen, Heather DeBow here to give you the call. Perfect weather, and we have quite the racetrack set up right in the center of all the debauchery. Now, a totally different atmosphere over AFT's summer break. A lot of our riders got to attend the Goodwood Festival of Speed in England.
You know, I've been here at the house of the Duke of Richmond, and it couldn't be more radically different than Sturgis. But what a great time to go to Goodwood, and a fantastic opportunity for our stars to show off what they do in front of the crowd over in England and mix it up with Formula One cars and vintage race cars and motorcycles of all time. This is literally right up the Duke of Richmond's driveway. What a time they had. What a great event it is.
Yeah, and a beautiful dinner, and you said that word, mixture. I don't know if there's another event that mixes so many different motorsports together. Totally different mix here as we are going to be racing around the bar here at Sturgis with the Buffalo Chip TT. But first, here's Heather with an update on one of our fallen superstars.
Thanks, Jason. 2 weeks ago, Brad Baker sustained a back injury during practice for flat track racing at the X Games. Immediately following the incident, the factory Indian rider was transported by EMS to a hospital in Minneapolis, where he underwent emergency surgery. Baker has since been transferred to Chicago, where he will continue his recovery under the expert care of doctors at the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. Brad Baker put out a statement to us here at NBCSN, and he just wanted to let everybody know that he is doing well and he is in a really excellent rehab facility, working hard to make progress after his spinal injury. He said he's in great spirits, his family and friends are around to support him, and he's hoping to see all of his racing family and fans and friends at the Springfield Mile. He hopes to see everyone soon, and he thanks everyone for their support. On behalf of everyone here at American Flat Track and the rest of the flat track community, we wish Brad a speedy recovery.
I've had a chance to speak to Brad, and he's in great spirits and very positive. We all are thinking of him.
Yeah, and you can follow him on social media. He's posting quite a few updates of his rehab. You see, he's still third in points. Me's way out front. Henry Wiles, very consistent and also very good on TTs. He could be one to watch here. Let's get a tour of this, as I keep saying, very unique racetrack right around the bar, literally.
If you laid this thing out in paper and said, we're going to do this race around this bar, it would never work, right? You'd say, no way. But it's going to be one of the more exciting races of the year. Certainly one of the most unique venues you will see anywhere in the world for a racetrack. And it's going to take a lot of patience and skill to be good, to get the drive off in these tight corners, to get out front and then stay there. One simple mistake just about anywhere could easily see us change the lead numerous times tonight.
Majority of the tracks here in American Flat Track are ovals, so when you get to a TT with right and left hand turns and a jump, it certainly is going to be a stressor on the riders and teams to set up their machines for it. We'll show you what that looks like. This is qualifying. We'll start with our heat races, and Wiles is 17. We said he's a TT specialist. Jake Johnson not too shabby on these tracks, and they're already up front.
No surprise to see Henry Wiles taking a win here. He's going to be a strong contender for the victory in the overall main event.
And same thing with Briar Bauman. He won this race last year. He wins heat race number 2. Then we roll on into the semis. Day becomes night. And look at the Harley-Davidsons, Vanderpoy and Halbert up front. Factory
bikes going 1 and 2. Harleys could be a contender, and wouldn't they go crazy? The Buffalo Chip with that.
Technical out there right now. There's some slick spots. It's hooked up. You got to ride it really aggressive, so it's fun. You know, I'm excited for the 25-lapper.
And then Me's out front of Johnson in semi number 2. Track very slick here. But Me's showing he can ride the TTs just as well as the ovals. Remember, he did win the Daytona TT to start the season. We're going to transition to our singles class. There's Dan Bromley signing some autographs of some unique autograph stock. He is your Runaway Series leader in that division. But on a TT track, spoilers like motocrosser Ryan Sipes are in the mix. We'll be right back. Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Harley-Davidson, the official motorcycle of AFT Twins. And by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. And by Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers. It's American Flat Track checking out our singles class. Dan Bromley. Normally consistency is tough on these young riders, but he has been uber consistent this year, and he has a giant points lead over Ryan Wells and Shayna Texter. Heather had a chance to talk with Dan Bromley.
Here now with points leader in the singles class, Dan Bromley. Dan, new leathers here. You're looking pretty sharp, but you've had an impressive season so far, 9 podiums, 3 wins. What do you think has led to that success? And if you could grade your season, what would you give yourself?
My season, I'd probably give myself about an 8. You know, there's always room for improvement. We had 2 races where I had 1 mechanical and then 1 I just didn't ride the greatest. I ended up 9th, and I'm not very proud of that race, but I know there's a lot more races that I can prove myself right in. I'm looking forward to getting out there and trying to continue my podium chase every race and extend my points lead. You know, Colby and Ryan are riding great. Shayna's there too. I know going into Rapid City, they're going to be hard to keep behind me, and that's why I'm trying to shine here tonight.
Even though you've had a couple struggles, you seem to be comfortable on the bike week in and week out. Why would you say that is?
A lot of it has to do with the suspension. I know at the beginning of the year, I was using my good friend, Drew Smith, who he does a great job with both on and off-road racing. And then towards the middle of the season, I've been working with KTM a little bit more and more, being comfortable on the bike. You know, the more work they do, the better I feel. And you can see that every week I've been getting a little bit better and better and better.
Well, Jason, Dan Bromley is certainly trying to keep up that consistency, and he looks sharp while doing it.
All right, to the victor go the spoils. A little more money in the budget here. Jacob Lehman wins heat race number 1 of the singles division. And Jesse Janish, who's always quick on these TT tracks, wins heat race number 2. But then Ryan Sipes starts to rally. Sipes, a motocrosser, joined us earlier in the year and is fast in qualifying at another TT. Showing that's not a fluke, he wins heat number 3. And he learned something in that one. We'll show you that in a bit here at semi number 1. Sipes figured out a new line on the jump. And he follows Cole Fredrickson across the line. Lehman in 3rd. Now we go to semi 2. There's Janish in the pack, and watch this. Andrew Luker goes down and causes the pileup. Janish sneaks to the front. Just what can happen on a track like this.
It's going to be tight racing all night, and as you see, once these guys go down, it just causes mayhem behind them. Some go wide, some go inside. We could see this all throughout the night. It could really impact who gets to the line first, like Janish did here.
Janish with the victory.
Better lucky than good out there. Luker fell, Zabala had nowhere to go, and I was the lucky beneficiary. I mean, tried to run a good race. It's a little slick out there from the rain, but I mean, I'm pumped to get a semi-win, and that's a good starting spot for the main, so I'm pretty excited.
And they're performing as much track maintenance as they can to prep this thing for the main event. And the fans are absolutely loving it. Gigantic crowd out here when you're part of Sturgis. And a familiar face part of that crowd. Good to see Brian Smith back at the races. It has been a tough season for him. Broken leg, and then later a crash at Weed Sport in New York. So good to see Brian hanging out with us, and he is with Heather.
Catching up now with factory Indian rider Brian Smith. Brian, we're here at the Buffalo Chip TT. We're actually standing in the bar that's in the middle of the racetrack. We have the concert stage behind us. Tell us a little bit about how unique this race is and what it's like to race in Sturgis here in front of this awesome crowd.
It's really cool. How often can you say you sat in the front row at the bar and watched a flat track race live in person? Not only is it unique to watch, but it's unique to race. Tight and technical with the jump.
Now, you had a hard get off at Weed Sport, New York, so you're not racing with us today, but we'll see you at Black Hills Speedway. But how is your body healing up, because you're also overcoming your ankle injury as well?
Yeah, I had a hard get off at the last race, unfortunately, and I had to sit that one out, and had my ankle worked on since then. It's still healing, so I'm going to sit out the tight technical track tonight here at the Buffalo Chip and come back for Rapid City on Tuesday.
Well, Jason, we know that Brian won't be racing with us tonight, but we are going to put him to work here. So fans, stick around because he's going to be giving us his own race insight during the racing action. So, Brian, are you ready to do this?
Yeah, I think I'm more nervous to talk to you guys than I am to actually race.
All right, well, Jason, it should be a great show. We're looking forward to it.
Well, don't worry, Brian. We got a bar right next to the track if you need to take the edge off. Singles main event coming. We have seen some spoilers in the mix, but Lehman and Sipes, but can they deliver when it counts for 15 laps? Stay with us. Time for the main event in the singles division, the Buffalo Chip TT presented by Indian Motorcycle. Totally different type of racetrack from the usual in American flat track. We've got a jump, we've got left and right hand corners. So any rider on this grid could potentially win. There are some TT specialists out here that could upset the order.
Yeah, and that is definitely what we're going to be keeping an eye on. But something we're going to be talking a lot about is Ryan Sipes and what he discovered earlier on today. We'll get into it once we see it in action here in the main event. Janish is certainly going to be a competitor, but that's the one everybody's talking about, Ryan Sipes, as we get ready for this main.
And your defending series champ Colby Carlisle, an up and down season. This would be an opportunity to make up some points starting on that inside groove. Let's see what he can do. Oh, Sipes nails the start. Lehman right behind him on the number 14. And Ryan said the only thing that mattered here was for him to get a whole shot, and that's exactly what he's done.
It is so huge to get everybody behind you on this tight, twisting racetrack. The jump, yeah, it's a storyline. The tightness, the slipperiness of this racetrack, that's the key. Getting that whole shot, that was massive.
And Sipes with a very diverse background, Supercross and motocross rider, but then jumped into off-road racing in the woods. Now this year he's doing a little bit of everything. Was very fast when he showed up at Springfield, was the fast qualifier, struggled in the main. Let's see if he can put it together this time.
Well, everything he's learned and all those different variations of racing is going to come into play here tonight. He's got a wealth of experience, and that's what you need here today.
Okay, there's Carlisle on the one trying to close in. This is a points battle for some of the riders that are in the mix. If you're Lehman or Sipes, you don't care about any of that. You're not competing in all the rounds. You are just going for the victory. So it's going to be interesting. How aggressive will they be with Carlisle, who's back there in fourth?
You saw how Carlisle flew over that jump, really launched himself. When you see what Sipes is doing, radically different line, and we can explain why it's an advantage here when you see it.
And Bromley now rolling up behind Janish. Bromley on the 62. There's Janish on the 132. Janish second at both of our TTs earlier this year at Springfield and Daytona. Wants a win, but the start, not what Janish was looking for.
Well, what Janish needs to do is apply pressure to Carlisle, force him into a mistake. It's going to be tough to get around him outside of just wedging your way past. But if you can get the guy in front of you to make a mistake, open the door, comes a lot easier.
Second place, Jacob Lehman out of Snohomish, Washington. He's putting the pressure on your leader, Sipes. Bromley all over Janish looking for some running room. And there's the jump. So the bikes bottom out when they air it out like that, but Sipes told me after the heat race, that was a hard landing. He said, I got to figure out a different way to attack it. So what he's been doing is wheeling before the jump and not jumping nearly as far. But look at Lehman. He's all over it.
He's not jumping as far or as high, and that's the key. He's getting that bike back down to the ground and driving forward as quick as he can. A wheelie there looks good, but it can slow you down. There, you can see it. See how much lower and how much quicker he gets back down to the ground?
Yeah, motocross, they'd call that a pre-jump, where he's actually lifting the bike before he gets to the face of the obstacle. But Lehman is all over him right now. The real question is, can Sipes handle this kind of pressure? Sipes been working a lot with the JD Beach. It's a factory Yamaha road racer, also from Kentucky like Sipes. Now JD also jumps in a couple rounds of American flat track, so they have been logging the laps to prepare for this one. Oh, that is beautiful over the jump.
Helps him over the jump. He opens up a gap, but then Lehman does a great job of getting into the corner and closes that gap right back up.
And a shout out to Cole Fredrickson, also out of Washington, right behind Lehman. So they are ganging up on Sipes right now.
What Sipes is doing over the jump, Jason, is similar to what you and I see in Supercross and motocross with James Stewart, the old Bubba scrub.
Yeah.
Keep it low and get back on that ground and get that horsepower turning that wheel.
All right, let's send it down to Brian Smith. What do you got, Brian?
Thanks, guys. We're down here trackside of the Buffalo Chip. Ryan Sipes is the current leader, doing exactly what he needs to do. He got the whole shot, and he's hammered down. The only guy that's hitting the jump really hard. I think he's got this one in the bag. He just got to stay patient and hit his marks, and he's got this one.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And Brian told me if he gets that whole shot, he's actually not even that worried about going fast. He feels that he can defend that position regardless of the pace behind him. Lehman is going to have to start getting aggressive here. We're halfway through.
Well, that's it. He's going to have to literally force his way by. He's been watching Sipes, but he hasn't been able to figure out what Sipes is doing on the jump because he keeps hitting it the same way. but he's really good in the corners. If he could just close up a little bit more, this race could get physical, and elbows could get pretty wide and pretty sharp as we get down towards the end of it, past halfway now.
Oh, big battle still between Janish and Bromley, your series points leader. Bromley has gotten around Colby Carlisle, last year's series champ. Just past the halfway mark, Bromley's doing everything to get Janish. Squaring him up. Still not enough. Let's see if these two can push each other toward those podium spots, or if they're going to slow each other up by trading lines in these corners. Bromley trying to go outside to inside everywhere. Showing him a wheel. But Janish has not made an error despite all this pressure being applied. Here's the opening Bromley's looking for.
Well, Janish is making mistakes. Bromley's just not capitalizing on him. Now he's going to try the outside. I don't think that's going to get it done. He needs to get back inside there and really force it. There he goes.
Beautiful. Another outside to inside. He tried that several times, and it finally paid off. So now Bromley, this is what he's done all year, regardless if it's a big, long mile track, a TT, or anything in between. It's the all-around game that has built this points lead for him. See if he can get away. Carlisle's still in this fight as well on the Estenson Yamaha, the #1. 5 to go.
Such a technical track here tonight. It can just drive you crazy because some of these corners are so slow, and you know the guy's right behind you and you want to get on that gas, but if you do, you just spin that rear wheel and slip and slide, and there goes the position, just like that.
And also Shayna Texter, who's in this championship battle, failed to qualify for the main tonight. The TT tracks are a weakness for her, so she's not even in this main event. So even better in the points haul for Bromley. There's the gap Bromley would have to make up, though, on third place Cole Fredrickson. Both Fredrickson and Lehman backed by Vince and Denise Holt and Hot Ride Motorsports. So good to see those two out of Washington working together to try to win this one. At least they're going to be up on the podium unless Bromley can catch them.
You know, I'm really surprised everybody's had a chance to watch Sipes throughout the course of the day, and when he's doing that jump, nobody is trying the line through there and running that jump the same way he is. And I'm kind of surprised nobody's really ventured out to see if it would work for them too.
Yeah, Lehman has gotten a front row seat to it for 12 laps so far. 3 to go. They pulled away just a bit from Fredrickson. What a resume for Sipes. He won the prestigious East-West Shootout once in Las Vegas, the Monster Energy Supercross. He's the first American to ever win the overall at the International 6 Days Enduro. If you can win an enduro race, a Supercross race, and a flat track race, that's something that I don't believe anyone on earth can say they've ever done before.
It's quite the resume, that's for sure, with 2 to go.
And it looks like he's got it right now. He's actually pulled away a bit from Lehman. He's going to have to find something special in this last lap and a half. As they head to the jump, Sipes just continues to pull away.
Sipes has done the 2 things he said he needed to do. 1, get the hole shot, and 2, just defend once you got out front. And that's what is taken here today. We'll see if the guys in the twins class have taken note.
Now, Sipes might come race with us on an oval track, kicking around the idea of racing the Springfield short track that'll be coming up in a few weeks. It'll be really fun to see what he can do on a more traditional American flat track course. I just want to remind everyone again, this is totally different than the normal racetrack that these riders grow up racing on. So for a motocrosser like Sipes, it plays to his strengths. And it wasn't just hype this time, it's reality, because Ryan Sipes is closing in on a big win. Lehman is running out of running room and running out of time. Sipes just has to grease this corner. He does. Checkered flag in sight, and Ryan Sipes has done it. He shows up at the TT, he wins it, and Lehman and Fredrickson are pumped too. Shocking podium results. Sipes is ecstatic, and so are the fans.
Well, and he should be. That's a big win, and to go in with your game plan and to execute it perfectly, that's something to get really fired up for.
So there is your 18-rider field. Those are the final results. Let's send it down to Heather, who we know is a happy winner.
Ryan Sipes, your winner here at the Buffalo Chip TT in the singles class. Second event here with American Flat Track, and you were able to get to victory lane, but you had style out there, motocross. Talk about your technique going over the jump, how you were pulling the wheel before the jump.
Yeah, I just got tired of bottoming out on it, to be honest. That thing, you just landed flat, and I was bottoming out, and I thought, I think I could wheelie the thing, and it was, you know, maybe a little faster, but I didn't bottom out, so it was fun.
You've raced many different disciplines. How does this win compare to your other wins in your career?
Man, it's up there. I work hard at this stuff. I really do. I practice quite, you know, as much as I can, and I really love flat track. Like, I like riding it, and to be able to win after Springfield was kind of a letdown with a crash, and I knew I could do it. You know, I just had to stay up, so I'm really happy.
And also happy would be Jacob Lehman, who finishes second. We'll hear from him in a bit. There's your points. Bromley again edging ahead of all his main contenders. So that points lead just continues to grow. Carlisle was solid tonight, but he's still way back in third. So let's check in on another new face, Jacob Lehman.
Jacob Lehman bringing it home second here in the singles class. Jacob, you've had speed all day, fastest qualifier. Where did that speed come from?
I started racing Supermoto in about 2008, so the TTs come pretty natural to me. This is actually my third national I've gotten podium on. The other two I won, and they've been TT tracks these whole times. So I feel great I feel at home on these tracks, and it's been an awesome day.
Could be an awesome night as well, and he's got a buddy to celebrate with, as Cole Fredrickson has also put it up on the box and is with Heather.
Cole Fredrickson bringing it home third here in the singles main event. Cole, you had a fist pump coming across that line. You told me earlier your goal was to get this done. How does it feel to accomplish that goal here at the Buffalo Chip TT?
Yeah, you know, I've finished fourth at countless TTs over the last few years, and I'm so stoked to be on the podium. I couldn't believe it. I'm really happy, and I can't believe that one of my best friends, Jacob Lehman's, on the podium with me. That's really cool, and it was a great race, and we're doing it for Brad the Bullet this weekend.
Yeah, right on, supporting Brad Baker. Ryan Sipes has done it, an historic win for him. Another TT specialist ready to rock the Twins division. The man in a van with a plan, Hayden Gillum, and a guest ride. We'll talk to him after we return. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Indian Motorcycle. Be legendary. By E3 Spark Plugs, the official spark plug of AFT. And by Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. Well, the motocrosser Ryan Sipes won this year's singles class TT. Last year's singles class winner Hayden Gillum is moving up to the Twins. Let's see how he can do. Check in with him.
I won the singles race here last year. It's a little bit different this year, racing a twin on the Indian. I've been racing 450s for a long time, and I've been racing against all the up-and-coming kids, and now I guess I was getting old in the class. Trying to get more comfortable on a bike is really just about seat time. The more seat time you can get, the better it's going to be for you. The bikes are obviously a lot faster, the motors are heavier, everything just works a lot different. So far I've already crashed the bike once in qualifying, broke it. It's tough. These guys are quick. They're always on their game, and it's going to take a lot to even stay up with them. The last 2 years I was doing a road race program with Cycle World, man in a van with a plan, and Indian and Cycle World got a deal together, and I'm glad we can keep it going. It's a ton of fun. I get to drive to all the races, and I love driving everywhere. I get to see all these amazing places, and I'm so thankful to be able to do it for a third year. The atmosphere here at Buffalo Chip is insane, you know. There's dirt flying everywhere, everybody's revving up their Harleys and their Indians. It feels more of a laid-back atmosphere, a lot more fun atmosphere, and I mean, obviously you can tell I'm smiling this entire time, so it's a lot of fun here.
So Hayden, a full-time road racer, but whenever he shows up here for the TTs, he is quick, so he'll be one to watch on that 169. Let's send it back to Heather.
Here at the Buffalo Chip TT, Dunlop has provided 2 tires for the riders and teams to choose from, and that's the R5 and the R8. The R5 being the softer of the 2 compounds. Now, because we are racing on the TT and we have right and left-hand turns, there will also be slower speeds. That means teams do not have to worry about tire temperature. So tonight in this main event, they are going to be going with that R5, the softer compound, so they can get as much grip on the racing surface as possible.
Thanks, Heather. That's the Dunlop Tire Tech Tip. And all the way up from the tire through the motorcycle, the factory Harleys have been quick in qualifying today. We're going to chat with Sammy Halbert when we return. as he's hoping to put his orange and black machine up on the podium. And then we'll have our main event and see if he can get it done. Just about ready for our twins class main event in American Flat Track at the Buffalo Chip TT. But first, let's talk to Sammy Halbert, the factory Harley rider, focused on a win tonight.
Sammy Halbert sitting right there to put the Harley on the podium.
This season so far, I'd say, has been steady progress. It's been a mixture of a lot of things, sometimes with getting the bike to finish the races strong, motor-wise, and then a lot of times just with chassis setup and getting grip to the ground. We've been making steps on everything, and as we go along, the team is just working to bring us new components and stuff to get the bikes lighter, better, faster, stronger. So seeing the effort from the team and starting to see the results has been really motivating for me.
Halbert, when you give him the equipment, he can run with anybody, and he's proving it right now.
Coming into this year, I come in optimistic. That's how I always do. Like, I feel like you got to at least believe you can win, and it obviously didn't start that way. So then it was like a little bit of a reality check that there was some more development that needs to go on. And I know it'll be that much more special once we get up there on the podium. I'm eager to get that done and reward myself and the team and all the Harley fans with some podiums and some wins in the future. Going to X Games for us is huge. Being live on TV and there with all the other athletes, it's really, really nice for us. Coming in as the defending gold medalist was really fun games. Hopefully we can keep going back there. It's always it's a great event for us. Last year at the Buffalo Chip was a really eventful race for me. You know, it started off super good. I was leading my semi, and then a chain popped off, and I just hoofed it.
He's going to try to push it across the line.
You know, I pushed my bike across the line and got it in the main, so I was super stoked to make the main, and it was made for a good memory. You never know, especially on these like tight, twisty TT tracks, like anything can happen, but for sure I'm coming in with high expectations and even got this vision in my head of fighting for a win, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to give it my all, and that's what I do every weekend.
There's Sammy on the line. He and his teammate Jared Vanderkoy very quick in the qualifying races today. Jake Johnson is always a contender at the TT. He was on a Harley last year and podiumed at this race. And Mikey Rush, also on a factory Harley, he is filling in for the injured Brandon Robinson, who has a broken foot. Okay, so here is your lineup. Vanderkoy, can he bring Harley to victory lane? It's going to be tough because you got Jared Mees in the mix, and he's strong everywhere.
Boy, it would get this crowd on their feet to see the factory Harleys get a win here at the Buffalo Chip, wouldn't it? It's going to be fun to watch. They're definitely competitive.
He's on the outside. That's where he picked on the number 20. Also got to watch the TT specialist, the 17 of Wiles. We're underway. Oh, bumping and banging into that first turn. And Bauman, last year's winner, comes out with a K&N Whole Shot Award.
Well, we saw how big of an advantage that was in the singles race. Let's see if it plays out here in the twins. But Vanderkoy's right there with him on the factory Harley number 20.
And Mees on the outside of the number 1. He's going to get squeezed out. And it's actually Gillum who's right there. We talked to Hayden Gillum earlier. We know he's a specialist on these TT tracks, and he's right in the mix in third.
You know who did not get a great start is Henry Wiles. There you see the 17 back in 6th.
There was so much bar banging off the line, Ralph. You can tell how important the start's going to be here.
It's huge. You got to fight your way up to the front and then defend like we saw. There's Gillum on that 169. There's a look back at Wiles.
So Wiles so strong in the TTs, especially the Peoria circuit, which we'll be getting to in a couple of weeks. Is he good enough to make passes, though, on a very tight racetrack? He and Jake Johnson on the 5 are duking it out. It's Mees working on Gillum as your leaders try to get away from them. It's Vanderkoy and Bauman.
When they're opening up a lead, too, aren't they?
Not what you'd expect.
And Gillum is definitely holding up Mees at this point. You can see Jared is getting anxious to try to find a way by. We'll see if the member of the wrecking crew on that number 1, who's been so dominant this year, starts to force the issue here. Oh, no! Well, we said if you go down, it shakes everything up, and that's exactly what happened. And look at this. Mees capitalized. Now he's the leader.
If there's one thing the field did not want to see this year, was Jared Mees getting a lucky break. He's been dominating, winning nearly all of the races this year, and the one race he's not leading, this happens.
Look, you get your leader, goes into the corner, just tucks the wheel, nowhere for Vanderkoy to go, and everybody has to scatter. Hayden goes wide. Jared's able to tuck to the inside, take the shorter line, and he takes the lead away.
Bauman just tucked the front and took Van der Kooi with him. We saw an identical crash to that in the singles qualifying. Must be a very slick corner. Wiles is trying everything to get around the 69 of Sammy Halbert. So it's wide open now for podium positions, but let's see if Mees up front can get away.
Hayden's doing a pretty good job now of hanging on to second, but everybody else is going to be itchy to get around him. Otherwise, Mees is going to check out.
Halbert trying to hold off. Oh, there's the inside move. Oh, and it takes, it actually worked against. Wiles saw an opening, got Halbert, but hit the rear tire of Gillum, and now he's down.
He just T-boned right into Hayden Gillum, and off he went, and everybody else was able to ride away. It was the aggressive move he had to make. Watch. He knew he had to get going, otherwise Jared was going to get too far away, and Hayden had turned in, and there was nowhere for Henry to go.
And Jake Johnson just keeps slithering forward. Watch this. He finds an inside line. He gets by the down Wiles and might have been able to make the move on Halbert as well. So Johnson very sneaky, picking his way through. He did. He's up to third and now right behind Gillum.
He's got to get rid of Hayden pretty fast here if he wants a shot at Jared Mees.
He's got the inside line. It's going to be the outside in this corner. Didn't work for him. But Gillum is hanging on.
Oh, there it is.
A little mistake. That's exactly what Johnson needed. And Halbert says, I'm going to take it too.
Caused Hayden Gillum 2 positions. 1 mistake, 1 slow corner, 2 spots back, he drops.
So Johnson and Halbert, they've got clear racetrack to try to run down Jared Mees. This is the opportunity. Some of these riders have been waiting for a different type of track. If this were a half mile or a mile, you give Mees a lead like this, it's over. But we don't know what to expect here in a TT.
If it was a mile, by now, Mees would be about 20 seconds in front of everybody. That's the way it's been looking like this year. He's been just ridiculous on the miles. But so far here, they've been able to keep him somewhat in check. And Johnson is only a couple of bike lengths behind him now.
Yeah, Johnson actually starting to close in. We watched the 54 of Mikey Rush. He has taken advantage of some of those crashes, and Bronson Bauman, that's Breyer's brother, doing the same.
And Carver back there as well in the 23.
Look at this. Jake Johnson has caught Jared Mees. We are really going to have a duel here, Ralph.
Well, Johnson, of course, a 2-time champion in this series, knows how to win, right? We know that. But he's been dealing with new motorcycles for the last couple of years. He rode the XG, then he was on the Yamaha, then he's now on the Indian. So he's been, trying to figure out these bikes, trying to figure out his riding style. He rode the XR at the X Games and put it on the podium. Gave him a shot of confidence, Jason, and I think that is really helping him here. It reminded him, you know what you're doing, just go ride.
Yeah, and he was on the podium here last year on the factory Harley. They had been struggling most of the season, but that was a bright spot for him. So confidence again coming into this race. He knows he's good here, and he knows he's got the pace to get around Mees. Let's see if he can make it happen. Oh, there was an opening. And another one.
That podium here on the XG last year was the first podium the Harley-Davidson XG had ever gotten. And now look at him going for it here, maybe getting himself a win here tonight.
Oh, you can tell he's feeling it now. He is setting up Mees in every corner, outside, inside. Wherever Mees goes, he's able to take a different line and still go faster. But is it enough to get by him?
Well, and we talked about the motocross skills. Johnson does a lot of motocross training, as does Jared Mees, so they're both very comfortable getting those bikes up in the air.
Hey, Rob, while they're battling and slowing each other up, Sammy Halbert in third is right in the mix, and they nearly touch wheels. Here's the opening Johnson needed. He takes the lead. Mees going to try to tuck it back underneath, and Johnson's able to seal the deal.
Boy, this is some of the most pressure Jared Mees has felt all year outside of the race where Carver really pushed him hard earlier this season as well. And now Halbert right there, and that's going to get the Harley crowd up on their feet.
Oh, yeah, when you're at the Sturgis rally, this crowd is probably, 90% Harley fans. You put one of those machines up on the box, or even further forward than that, and Halbert still can see the leader. And the crowd is responding to the challenge for the number 69.
Well, this is what we've really been waiting to see. Harley versus Indian, and we've got it going here. Champions in the mix. This is a great fight.
Let's send it down to our 2016 champion, Brian Smith, on the track.
Thanks, guys. We're trackside here. We just watched Jake Johnson play the veteran card. He set on Jared Mees' bumper, just pressured him, and finally, bam, made a move right at halfway. I think as long as Jake keeps on his game, hits all his marks, he's going to win this thing. It's been a long time coming for Jersey Jake.
Yeah, and as Mees and Halbert battle each other for second, that's just helping him further pull away. To think that you could overcome a bad start and get the lead before the halfway mark on a tight track like that says volumes for how well Johnson is riding on the Estenson Indian. There is Halbert. They've pulled away from 4th place. Gillum. It's now a private duel for the number 2 spot. Halbert trying everything to get Mees here, but he's going to have to be even more aggressive. We saw Johnson take some chances. He almost hit the tire and went down a couple of times. Of Mees slamming Sammy, usually not shy, and as the laps begin to click off, how aggressive will he be? Will he try to move the defending champ out of the way? Gets a second to make a run for the win. But right now, it's all about Jake Johnson here at the Buffalo Chip. This is the Buffalo Chip TT. You see what it says on the background, bar. Yes, we set a flat track course around the bar here at the massive Sturgis Rally. Fans are having a great time in the battle. They're watching the number 1 of Jared Mees in second. Sammy Halbert on the factory Harley-Davidson all over him. So it's Indian versus Harley. Jake Johnson on the number 5 has pulled away in the lead.
Well, the laps are winding down. Sammy and Jared are going to have to try to be patient, but they know what's at stake here. And nobody's going to be hungrier than Sammy, but the pride that Jared has not to finish worse than second is going to be just as big. And look at Carver, you know, as they work through traffic, that's another challenge here, right? You see that rider in front of you, you know you got to get around him quick, but if you get too aggressive, that's where you could get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, we have seen several riders tuck the front end, lose traction, and go down, just trying to make the wrong move at the wrong time. So Mees and Halbert, they're veterans of this game. You would think they can avoid that type of situation, but when you apply the pressure of racing, things can change in a hurry. As a matter of fact, it looks like they are starting to close back up on Jake Johnson.
Well, Johnson's going to be trying to find the right pace, not to make any mistakes here with just 5 laps to go. But you can't slow up too much and get out of your rhythm.
And they're all alone in second and third. Halbert and Mees have pulled away. Hayden Gillum is 4th. Bronson Bauman is actually filling in for Brian Smith on the factory Indian. He is in 5th, but they're a long way back. So they are free to try to challenge Johnson for the lead while they fight each other. Looks like Johnson's pulled it back away just a bit. The number 5 is 5 laps to go.
Boy, we talked about how getting on the podium at the X Games was so confidence-inspiring for Johnson. What's a win here at the Buffalo Chip going to do for him?
Absolutely, and the good news for him, we'll be racing in just a few short days. We're going to stay in the Sturgis area and go racing for the Black Hills event. So he doesn't have long to carry this potential momentum into our next event. Oh, but Mees is still lurking there. Johnson, 2-time series champ. He knows how to manage these things, but anything can happen. You miss your mark on this racetrack by a few inches, and you can go down. The track gets very slick.
Well, and it's so easy. Look how close a lot of those hay bales are on the inside, and watch this right there on the outside.
Yeah.
You just easily catch a handlebar or an elbow there.
Johnson started the year on a Yamaha, then switched to the Indian, busted out the old Harley XR750 for X Games, now back on the Indian here, and last year he was on the factory Harley XG. So, as you've said, a lot of bike changes for him. He's found the combo that works at least on a tight racetrack with this Indian.
Oh, that was almost a mistake right there. Boy, he got way up on the nose of that thing, and you could see he really had to fight to bring it back under control. And with 3 laps to go, he could have tossed it all away.
Well, it's key to mention that it was only last year that they started to bring the twins back onto the TT track. So these bikes, they're really good on the big miles and the half miles. Jumps are not their specialty, and it almost cost him.
No, it was not what the engineers had in mind when they designed these things, right?
No, so they bottom out over there, and then you get what they call head shake. The bar is just going from full lock to full lock. That is scary, especially at speed.
But I like it.
Oh, yeah.
For me, with this form of racing, these bikes should do everything. The big tracks, the short tracks, the TTs, that's what makes this form of motorcycle competition so fun to watch. And these riders so good, because you have to be good at everything.
Yeah, the all-around game on display, and you got to give credit to Jared Mees. He's got a championship points lead to manage, but he's decided to just take this pressure from Sammy Albert all the way through. It would be an easy cruise for Mees if he just let him by and would still finish up on the podium. But you mentioned the pride. I'm sure Mees is probably bummed that he's not out front in this one, even though he doesn't have to win it. Meanwhile, the happiest guy in Sturgis, and that's saying a lot because there are a lot of people having a good time here. But I'm going to put in my vote for this guy. Jake Johnson is about to win the Buffalo Chip TT, and he has done it. And Mees holds off Halbert to the line in second. And even Mees is pumped for Jake Johnson.
Well, you have to be. You know, everybody understands here's a two-time champion that's been fighting to find his rhythm again. The SSN Racing guys, such a great group of people, and they're going to celebrate this big win.
Probably just walk to the bar next door and do it. Hayden Gillum made that Indian look good, finished up in fourth, and Bauman filling in for Brian Smith in the top five. Vander Kooi, it's the one that got away. He was up front early, got taken down in a crash with Briar Bauman. They end up 10th and 15th. So Jake Johnson, a breakthrough for he and his crew. We said a unique track could lead to unique results. It has happened. We'll talk to him next. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Harley-Davidson, the official motorcycle of AFT Twins, and by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. And by American Flat Track, America's original extreme sport. Sunoco Go the Distance Award standings. We're totaling up every mile logged in practice and racing this year. Henry Wiles continues to lead Mees in that category. Here's your Motul move of the race. Jake Johnson taking the lead.
Well, it was an aggressive move. He saw the opening, made it happen right here, gets inside. Mees just a little wider than he wanted, and that's all it took, as Jake Johnson never looked back from that moment forward.
That's why they always talk about hitting your marks and missing your marks. Mees just a tad off. Johnson takes advantage.
Jake Johnson, your winner here at the second annual Buffalo Chip TT. Jake, it's been a long time coming, almost 2 years since you had a win. Talk about the emotions right now, your team around you. You just let them get the victory lap, and they're blowing up behind us here. How did it feel?
I can't even explain it. I mean, it's been a rough year. I mean, just beating myself up, you know, just not getting the results we want, and to come out of here with a win is unreal, you know. It's a little bittersweet. My wife and new baby girl Emily weren't here to see it, but we get to bring them home a cool trophy and you know, enjoy it when I get home.
We have to go back to the pass that you made on Mees in that final turn. Walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long race. You know, when the halfway came out, I'm like, man, I thought it should be 5 to go or the white flag, and I was trying to make some moves, but I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to do it too early, you know, to give them time to retaliate. And you know, I was trying things, and then you know, an opportunity opened up, and I had to take it, and was able to get a little bit of a gap on him, and you know, was able to kind of cruise those last couple laps. Because I'm not going to lie, the nerves were getting to me. It's been a long time since I've been in that position, and you know, luckily I was able to get a little breathing room, and you know, for the last 5 laps when I wasn't breathing. So yeah, I just got, you know, the whole team, Estenson Racing, been behind me 100%. You know, like I said, it's been a pretty down year so far, and you know, things have been turning around, and I think things are on the up.
Yes, we'll see if he can carry this to our next race just a few days from now in Black Hills. Henry Wiles didn't get the win he wanted, but he maintained second in the series standings, and Brad Baker, despite being out injured, still third. That shows you how strong he is. Let's go back to Heather.
Third place for Sammy Halbert tonight. Sammy, quite a different race for you this evening from last year, but it was a wild one. Walk us through what you saw out there.
Oh, for sure, a wild race with, Henry bashed into me. That was pretty aggressive, and he went down, and I just kept it together and took my shots when I could and got the factory Harley, Vance & Hines XG 750 up into a podium. Feels so good to get up there and reward my whole team and all the Harley fans with the podium. The team's been working like so hard every weekend, so it's pumped to get it up here for them and get my first podium on the factory Harley and looking to keep this rolling.
So Halbert on the box, Johnson with a win. We'll see if they can continue that. Our next race, the Harley-Davidson Black Hills Half Mile. We'll have it August 18th at 2 p.m. here on NBCSN. Confidence, you said it was big. Let's see if they can carry that forward.
Yeah, what will that do for Sammy Halbert to get on the podium here? What will Johnson do? It's great to see some new faces on the top step of the box this year in both classes.
Yeah, Ryan Sipes, that was a historic win, showing his versatility to get a victory in the singles class. But Jake Johnson's the happiest man of all with the victory in twins. For Ralph Shaheen and Heather DeBow, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching.